Okay, so yeah, now we are on session 8 actually. These are slides from one of the previous batches. We are lagging behind by one session. So we are session 8 right now, but the topic we are doing is from session 7. Because if you remember, we almost spent one full session just discussing case studies on the mechanics of transmigration. Okay, so now, yeah. In our previous session, which was the inverted banyan tree, we began with this question: where is my home? Where have we come from? Hmm. Okay, we saw that in this world, we see around everyone, all living entities are happiness seeking beings, and they are actually not just a bunch of chemicals. Every living entity is an Atma, and the Atma is covered over by a subtle body consisting of mind, intelligence, false ego, and then that subtle body is covered over with a gross body consisting of yeah, whatever body we can perceive, our hands, legs, everything. This is made up of the Pancha Mahabhut. That's what consists. That's what comprises. Uh, that's what makes up the gross body. So, but then we are all in this material world struggling for happiness. We are living amidst three modes that govern us, govern our consciousness, and govern all the inputs we take in. And those three modes are Sattva Gun, and what are the other two?
Thomas.
Tamas and Rajas. Yeah. Oh, I saw some balloons.
Yeah. I thought I was dreaming.
No, some graphics, somebody else.
Okay.
Okay.
Lights are there actually.
So, yes. Sattvagun, Rajogun, Tamogun. And then, yeah, we saw. Yeah, we saw how we are also living amidst laws called the laws of karma. We may have some idea, we may have had some idea about the laws of karma from our upbringing and so on, but yeah, we never got into so many details. And then, yeah, we also saw the mechanics of transmigration, how we are transmigrating from one body to another, hopping on based on two Ds. What are they?
Desire.
Desire and deserve. Yeah.
Deserve and deserve.
Yes. Yes. So, yes. Now, then in the previous session, we began with this question, but where has the Atma come from? And that led us to a very fundamental question about various theories of existence. By the way, let me just, I'm at my brother's place right now. Somebody rang the doorbell. Let me quickly go and check and come because I think there's nobody else opening it. Almost everyone is out and my brother is taking a nap. I'll quickly check and come. Hare Krishna. Yeah. So in this connection, we saw there are three buckets of theories or philosophies about existence. The first one is the atheistic theories that say that matter is absolute. Matter is the all in all. Matter is what has, we are all consisting of matter. And yeah, matter somehow combined at one point to produce life. Various atoms came together in a random reaction. They produced molecules. Molecules coming together produce some protein strands and genes, and which further led to single cellular organisms, and then they further combined, multiple cells came together. Somehow all of this happened randomly. And if we fervently question such theories, the answer we usually get is, oh, it happened over millions of years, Baba. Given millions of years, don't you think all these wonderful phenomena can happen? Then, if we carefully see all these theories, they are also a belief. They are also a type of faith. As much as such theories may blame theists or God believers to be simply believers or having faith in something. These theories are also a type of faith, if we carefully see. So, yes, so that is the first bucket of philosophies, the atheistic theories, which attribute all creation to some random reaction. We saw some examples like Big Bang theory. If we carefully question it, we will see all the flaws in it. How many fallacies exist in such theories? And then second type of theories, these are promoted by some certain type of religions that state that matter is all illusion. In fact, everything around is illusion. Everything, even God is illusion. Sab moha maya hai. You may have probably heard some people make such a statement. Sab moha maya hai. So these kind of theories, they are promoted by certain type of religions. And yeah, there are two religions which prominently subscribe to this kind of understanding. Of course, not all followers of these two religions think like that, but at least at a large scale, most followers of these two religions, they subscribe to this kind of an understanding. And these religions are Buddhism and Jainism. So, yeah, even among religions, there can be these atheistic tendencies to dismiss the existence of God. However, the stance of Bhagavad Gita is different. The Bhagavad Gita says, matter is neither all absolute, neither is it all illusion. But matter is a reflection. Reflection of what? A higher reality, a spiritual reality. So, yeah, in this world, we see some happiness, we see some enjoyment, we see some love. But yeah, although it is temporary, it points out toward the existence of something that actually exists. Why would Atmas want to live permanently if there is no permanent life at all for the Atma? We as Atmas, we certainly do not want to die. While living in these bodies, we still desire immortality, right? But we know while living in the body, we have to face death at some or the other point. We cannot go on living permanently in this body. But where essentially did this desire to live permanently come from? It comes from the Atma, because the Atma has a permanent life, has an eternal life, has a timeless life. So, and because the Atma has an experience of that eternal, permanent, timeless life, the Atma desires such a life even while living in this world. But in this world, it's not possible. So this material realm is a reflection of reality. So just like we saw in the previous session, suppose there's a nice mango tree with very luscious, attractive looking mangoes hanging from it. If it is near some water body, and when we look into the water body, we will see that tree standing upside down. And even in that reflection in the water, we will see nice mangoes. But if we dive into the water, hoping to get those mangoes and enjoy them, will we get those mangoes? Certainly not. All we can get is some debris floating on the water in that water body, or we may get some mud or whatever is there in the water. But we won't get those real mangoes. But still, because we see mangoes in that reflection, it points out that there is a real mango tree and there are real mangoes. So similarly, the Bhagavad Gita compares this material realm as a reflection of a spiritual realm, a spiritual reality. We are all looking for happiness. But in looking for happiness in this material world is like diving into that water body, hoping to get some mangoes and enjoy them. But we do not find them. So, but that doesn't mean there are no mangoes at all. Because we cannot get real happiness in this material world, because we cannot find the oceanic happiness we are looking for in this material world, that doesn't mean there's no happiness at all. That doesn't mean there's no oceanic happiness available anywhere. Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita points out that there is a spiritual realm, of which this material realm is just a reflection. And all our longings, aspirations for ultimate happiness, oceanic happiness, they can all be fulfilled on that spiritual platform, in that spiritual realm. And that spiritual realm is called Vaikuntha, as we saw in the previous session. It's a realm it's a realm free from anxieties. It's a realm full of happiness. It's the abode of spiritual perfection, where we live with God. So, yes, the first bucket of theories was, now we will just elaborate a little more on the atheistic theories that we are surrounded by while living in this world. While living in this world, we interact with many people, and we go to our companies, our workplace, or our universities, and we may have colleagues or fellow students who are fully absorbed in atheistic understanding and an atheistic way of life. And that may bewilder us. It may strangle our genuine longing to be spiritual and to approach God, to love God. So yeah, let's analyze these theories a little bit more. And we covered some of this in the previous session also, but today we will dive slightly deeper into this and then proceed ahead with the session. So now one question for you. Is being atheistic equal to being scientific? Can somebody answer this based on our previous session? How many of you think being atheistic is being scientific? If I am an atheist, I am very scientific. And if somebody is theistic or believer in God, then he or she is not scientific. How many of you think?
No, I don't think that.
Okay. Tarun Prabhu is saying, no, that's not true. Okay. Why? Would someone like to elaborate? Why?
There are like the scientific laws are so precise that obviously there has to be someone above that to maintain those laws, and obviously there's a power above that. We call it God. Like we all call it like God. It's Lord Krishna in our way of learnings and Bhagavad Gita. So
Yes, wonderful, wonderful. Yeah. Any other points anyone would like to make? So here's the thing. As far as science is concerned, it's just science is about studying matter and manipulating matter to create some amenities in life, like a cell phone, Android phone, iPhone, watch, laptop, or whatever. Science is very helpful. It is a nice field of knowledge, and it helps us create amenities in life. It helps us reduce the difficulties of daily chores. With science, we can come up with innovative ways to make life a little easier. So certainly, science has its value. However, atheism, if we carefully see, it's just another belief. As much as theism is a belief and a faith, atheism is also a belief and a faith. If you carefully see, both theists as well as atheists have contributed to science. Do you think this iPhone has been created only by atheists? No, even so many theists have written code and designed the chip for an iPhone or an Android phone or a MacBook or a Windows laptop, whatever. Both theists as well as atheists have contributed to science. But somehow atheism has done a good job of showing that science ka jhanda hamare side pe hai. The flag of science is on our side. The flag of science flutters on our side. So we are more scientific. Oh, wait. But sir, if we carefully analyze, what beliefs you subscribe to, they are also just beliefs. There are no strong, solid proofs for that. We can boldly answer an atheist. So, yes, both theists as well as atheists have contributed to science, and theists can also very nicely study and apply science. Many toppers we see in schools and so many successful people. Do you think all of them are atheists? No, there are so many theists who are toppers in their schools, who can study nicely and apply science nicely, do well at work. And then another point to consider is theism or belief in God is not against science. We are not going against science in any way. All we are saying is science is a valuable field of knowledge, but it's a lower form of field of knowledge. Whereas spirituality is higher form of knowledge. It's a higher form of science. Science or material science shows us how to make a living while we are living in this world. Whereas spiritual science shows us how to make life. What is life all about? What is the purpose of our existence? So, yeah, now let me start sharing my screen again. Now we'll come to the next question. The why behind all whys. Whether theism or atheism, both have some why behind all the whys. So if we carefully trace out the why behind every why, okay, we are existing here. Why do we exist? Then we may give some reason. Okay, because my parents desired to have a child, so therefore I am existing. We may have some immediate answer to one particular question. But then if we ask a why behind that, okay, why that? Then there may be another answer. Then again, why? If we go back this chain of whys, there's one ultimate why we may come to. The why behind all whys. Or the cause behind all causes, or the cause of all causes. Now, whether theism or atheism, both must have some cause for all causes, right? Now, for atheistic theories like Big Bang, what is the cause of all causes? What is that why behind all whys? Just that one small dot. What does the Big Bang theory say? There was a small dot which, with infinite density, infinite temperature, infinite mass, somehow at some point it exploded. They have no answer to why it exploded. Did it feel like itching, or what happened to it? Why did it not continue existing as it always continued to exist? And by the way, who put that dot there with infinite mass, infinite density, infinite temperature, whatever? So they have no answer to this why behind all whys. They just somehow have placed their faith in that small dot by making it the why behind all whys. Then there's another scientific theory, steady state theory, which says, oh, all planets have always existed as they are, rotating, revolving in their orbits. It has always existed. But at some point, matter started randomly combining and all life was produced. So for them, the why behind all whys is again matter. So yeah, but then there's no answer to, okay, why? If you anyways attribute, if you are anyways willing to settle down considering matter as the why behind all whys, then why not consider God as the why behind all whys? So is it any more irrational? Or so do atheistic theories seem any more rational than theism? So if somebody calls theism as irrational or just a blind faith, we can equally point to them that no, what you believe in is also, if this is a belief, what you subscribe to is also a belief. Because for them, the why behind all whys, it ultimately boils down to something they have no explanation for. So yes, for us, the why behind all whys is God. Now we don't have a complete explanation for Okay, how is God the why behind all whys? That's the nature of this ultimate source of everything. We cannot fully fit this ultimate source of everything, this ultimate truth in our tiny little brains. So, for us, this why behind all whys is God. In fact, there's a verse in Brahma Samhita, one of the small scriptures we have, but a very important scripture, where Lord Brahma has composed these verses for mankind's enlightenment. And what the very first verse of Brahma Samhita says, Ishwarah Paramah Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. Sarvakarana Karanam. The cause of all causes, or the why behind all whys. Who is that cause of all causes, or the why behind all whys? It is Lord Krishna. Lord Brahma is saying so in this composition called Brahma Samhita. Now somebody may say, oh, this is all blind faith. Huh? How do you call some person or some conscious being as the why behind all whys? Well, why not? You are anyways calling some dot as the why behind all whys. You are anyways calling some matter, some dead molecules as the cause behind all causes. Then yeah, we can also, yeah, we also have the full freedom to call God as the cause behind all causes. So that doesn't make us unscientific in any way. As far as science is concerned, it's a neutral field which talks about manipulating dead matter and creating some nice amenities in life. And yeah, theists have also equally contributed to science. So yes, for us, the why behind all whys is God or Lord Krishna. And that doesn't make us unscientific in any way. So if somebody calls us unscientific for calling God as the why behind all whys, then we can, with equal fervor, we can point out that their why behind all whys or their cause of all causes is also equally unscientific. So that way, at least, even if we cannot prove theism, we can at least prove that atheism is not any more scientific than theism. Now, yeah, till where can logic take us? With our tiny brains, do you think in our tiny brains we can understand all truths? It's simply impossible. So with logic, this is a nice oxymoron. With logic, we can logically understand that everything cannot fit into logic. Isn't it? Isn't that a logical conclusion? With using our own logic, we can come to a conclusion that logic cannot explain everything. And it's a logical conclusion. So, yes, if we carefully see, something that cannot stand in front of logic, we call it illogical. But there are higher truths which logic cannot explain. And proud human beings end up calling these higher truths as illogical. However, these truths, these higher truths, which logic cannot explain, rather than calling them illogical, let's consider them to be translogic or beyond logic. Something that cannot stand in front of logic, that falls apart in front of logic, that is illogical. Yes, we agree, that is illogical. But something that logic cannot stand in front of, that we call translogic. So topics about God are translogic, beyond logic. The truths about God, they cannot fit into our tiny brains because they are translogic. But that doesn't mean we stop attempting to understand God. To whatever extent God can be understood, even with our tiny little logic and tiny little brains, let us make a full attempt to do so. Let us give our 100%. So, yes, logic cannot take us much further ahead in understanding God. But that doesn't mean that this is not to encourage blind faith in any way, but it just means that we at least we at least keep aside our pride that, oh, I can fit everything into my logic. So, yes, now we come to another beautiful definition of dharma. And this will explain to us why at all this world exists and Why are we created? And why have we come here? And what do we do in the liberated state? So, yeah, dharma at one level means the essential nature of something that cannot be separated from it. So, here are three examples here. What is the dharma of sugar? Its essential characteristic that cannot be separated from it. What do you think that is? Any characteristic that is inherent to sugar and cannot be separated from it. If it is separated, then it is no more sugar.
Sweetness?
Sorry, what did Tarun Prabhu say?
Sweetness?
Sweetness, yes, perfect. Yeah. So the dharma of sugar is to be sweet. Sweetness is its essential quality, which cannot be separated from it. Then similarly, on similar lines, what is the dharma of salt? To be salty. Simple, no? So if we are given a white powder which doesn't taste salty, what will we conclude? We'll say it's not salt. Similarly, water. The water is liquidy by nature. Its inherent nature is that it's liquidy. Now we come to this essential question. We saw we are all Atmas. But then what is the dharma of the Atma? What is the essential inherent characteristic of the Atma? Any Atma. What is that essential characteristic? There's one clue picture we can see here. What do you see on this in this picture? Somebody doing something.
Serving?
What did Tarun Prabhu say?
Serving?
Serving, yes. So, what's the dharma of the Atma?
To serve.
To serve, yes. And we see this principle of service existing all around us. It's all pervasive. We serve somebody. That person we are serving is also serving somebody. Say, for example, if we ask Rajat Prabhu, would you like to say who you are serving in life? Which all personalities are you serving in your life? If you don't mind answering.
Like to God, to Krishna, parents, my job, like all the activities that I do.
Yeah, wonderful. So, yes, for now, yeah, Rajat Prabhu said God, parents, our boss in the company, our employer. So, for now, for the sake of discussion, let's keep aside God. Even in this world, if we purely talk about this material world, we are serving somebody or the other. So, say we are serving our parents, we are serving the society at large, we are serving our bosses, our employer. Now, is our employer not serving somebody? Are they the ultimate sink of all service? Or are they also serving somebody? They are also serving customers. For them, customers, yeah, service to customers, satisfying customers. So many companies we work for, yeah, they are very customer centric. So, yeah, at least they try to show we are doing 100% to make our customers happy. So, yeah, everyone is serving someone or the other. Children may be serving their parents, but the parents are also serving somebody or the other. So, service is something that cannot be taken away from living entities, even in this world. This is a world where the Atmas are in a foreign position. This material realm is not the real home of the Atma. We are going to see what is the real home of the Atma. But this material world certainly is not the real home of the Atma, because the Atma is in a foreign place. The Atma has its propensity to be permanent. It is permanent. In fact, the Atma is timeless. But yet, the Atma is currently covered over by gross and subtle body. And then there's something called death imposed upon the gross body. At death, the gross body dies. The Atma doesn't die. But still, for the Atma, it's a very painful experience. The Atma almost feels like, oh, my existence is fully being annihilated now. So death is a foreign event for the Atma. Death is not a natural thing for the Atma. So it is quite obvious that being in this cycle of birth and death, being in this material world, it's like being in a foreign place for the Atma. But yet, even in this foreign place, the Atma's essential nature of serving doesn't go away. It manifests in some or the other way. Now, yeah, service, as we saw, is the essential nature of the Atma. Now, who is the Atma meant to serve? Will that question will be answered soon. Let me quickly just get some drinking water. It's not in my immediate vicinity. Okay, so we'll pause for a couple of minutes until Hari Krishna Prabhu and Rajat Prabhu come back. Everyone, if you feel like, you may take a small 2-3 minutes break, and we'll be back. Okay, so yeah, the dharma of the Atma, basically its essential characteristic that cannot be separated from it is service. So even in this foreign place, this material realm, we are serving someone or the other. And in our natural place, in our real home, as we saw in the previous section, our real home is the spiritual realm, the spiritual world, of which this material world is just a reflection. In that spiritual world, the Atma's essential nature is fully manifest and fully blossomed. And the Atma is engaged in dynamic service and dynamic exchanges of love. And yeah, in that state, the Atma experiences oceanic happiness. So now, yeah, now we saw in this world, the Atmas who have come to this material world and are in this cycle of birth and death, they live with one type of consciousness. What is that? Self-centered consciousness. I, me, and mine. It all revolves around me. Because I am born in India, so India is the best country, or sorry, now renamed to Bharat. So today there was Bharat-Pakistan match, as far as I know. I don't watch, but my brother was watching, so somehow I got to know. And yeah, because we are born in a country, we feel that country is the best, or that country should win in a match. So it all revolves around me. Because somebody is connected with me, they are more dearer to me than someone else. So first the center is me, then the immediate center is family members. But sometimes even when fighting with family members, whose side do we take? We take our own side. We side with ourselves, right? So yeah, the principle in this material world we see is I am the center of everything. And everyone is living with that consciousness. And then, yeah, centered around this central me is there are other circles. There's an immediate circle, family members, then a slightly larger circle, my own community, and then a bigger circle, my nation, and so on. So, yeah. However, yeah, we see some ironies in this world When there's a match between Bharat and Pakistan, we take Bharat's side. Everyone, all Bhartiyas come together. But within Bharat, when there are clashes between two families, it's possible, right? Even though in a World Cup match, we may take our country's side, but within the country, there may be fights between two families. Hmm? And then whose side do we take? We take our own family's side. But then within a family also, there may be clashes between two personalities, father and son, or mother and son, or mother and daughter. Then whose side do we take? We take our own side. So it all begins with this one center, me. That's the nature of this material world. And how is everyone else living? They are also living like that. So the situation in this material world is like this. Just like we saw this example in our previous session, we drop stones at different places in water. If we drop it only at one place, it creates beautiful circular waves which move out in beautiful patterns. But when we drop stones at different places in this water body, all these circles will come and clash with each other. So that's the nature of this material realm. There are many centers and they're all clashing, in clash with each other. However, we saw in the spiritual world, there's one center. Therefore, everything in the spiritual world is blissful and happy. And everyone experiences oceanic happiness in the spiritual world. The spiritual world, as we saw last time, is also called Vaikuntha. This material world is called Kuntha. Kuntha means a place of anxiety. But Vaikuntha means a place free from all anxiety, a place full of happiness, oceanic happiness. So now we come to three essential questions. What is the center in the spiritual world? Where has this tendency to serve come from? And why do Atmas even exist in the first place? So in today's session, we are going to answer these three questions. The answer to all three questions is one word, Param Atma. Or when combined, how do we pronounce this word? Paramatma, yes. So who is Paramatma? Who is this Param Atma or Paramatma? To translate it into simple English, Param Atma means the Supreme Atma. So who is this Param Atma or Paramatma? Let's see. So how is our relationship with the Param Atma or the Supreme Atma? So it's like siblings connected with each other. The Paramatma is the origin of all Atmas, is the Supreme Atma and is the central figure of all Atmas. All Atmas are connected to the Paramatma. There's no Atma who is not connected to Paramatma. So in other words, Paramatma, another word for Paramatma is God. So there is nobody who is not connected to God, and there's nothing that is not connected to God. Everyone is connected to God. So yeah, you are connected to God. I am connected. The animals are also connected. The trees are connected to God. Everyone has a relationship with God. All Atmas are related to God. So in that sense, how are we related to each other? Like siblings, isn't it? Just like, what's the connection between two brothers? Who is the main connecting point between these two brothers? Parents, yes. Because they are born to the same parents, they are connected to each other. They are siblings. They are two brothers or brother and sister or two sisters. So because they are connected through parents. So similarly, what is our connection with all living beings at the spiritual level? Sorry? Once again?
Paramatma.
Yeah, Paramatma is the connection point, pivotal connection between all Atmas. But then how are two Atmas related to each other? Like siblings. So therefore, yeah, we often hear about universal brotherhood. Our Prime Minister, Narendra Modi ji, makes a very nice statement on multiple occasions. He has made this statement, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Yeah, what does that mean? This whole creation is one family. Then who is the pivotal connection for this whole family? How can the whole universal creation be one family? It can be. Why? Because of whose presence? Because of Paramatma or God. Hmm? Because we are all connected to God, we are even connected to each other like a family. Hmm? So those who expand their vision, those who become God conscious, they develop this sense of the whole creation being one family. And naturally, what happens as a result of that? Do they become hateful toward other living entities or do they become more loving?
More loving.
Yeah, they become more loving. But yes, sometimes, unfortunately, we do see that some living entities become hateful in the name of religion, in the name of serving God or some mission, starting with J. I'll not take the full name. JIH and whatever, you can complete it. In the name of serving God, they may keep bombs here and there or go out with guns, shoot many people. Is that real service to God? No, actually, it's a complete misunderstanding of service to God. All they are doing is serving their own egos. This is not real service to God. Real service to God also leads to love for other living entities. So those who are real lovers of God, they love other living entities also. They cannot hate other living entities. It's simply not possible. It doesn't fit together. If we love God and God loves all living entities, so naturally we also start loving all living entities. But somebody who is becoming hateful in the name of loving God, so that in the first place is not real love for God. It's a complete misunderstanding of real religion or real spirituality. So, real spirituality teaches us how to love all living entities. And what makes it possible? Because we are connected to the same central figure, Paramatma, who is uh, the parent of all living entities. Let's see what Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. Please repeat after me, line by line, we will go. Mama evamsho jivaloke jiva bhutah sanatanaha
जीवभूतः सनातनः
manah shashtanindriyani
मनःषष्ठानीन्द्रियाणि
prakritisthani karshati.
प्रकृतिस्थानि कर्षति.
Would someone like to read out the translation? Utsav Prabhu, would you like to? If you are in a position to.
Yeah, it says the living entities in the conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to the conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind.
Yes. So, Krishna is saying they are my eternal fragmental parts. So, and although it's not there in the slides, let me show you. There's another verse where Krishna claims he is that Paramatma. Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter. Is everyone aware of this wonderful source called vedabase.io? Here, all literature published by ISKCON is available for free online. Of course, I prefer hard copies wherever possible. Hard copies give us that feeling of holding a holy book and studying from it. Whereas online, we don't get that. Sorry, is someone saying something?
The battery is about to over. It's
Oh, yes, yes. Thank you. I'll just connect to my charger. Okay. While I connect my charger, could someone read these last 5 verses of chapter 15? One verse at a time. Someone can read verse 16, then someone else verse 17. Amar Prabhu, would you like to start with verse 16?
classes of beings, the fallible and infallible. In the material world, every living entity is fallible, and in the spiritual world, every living entity is infallible. Besides these two, there is the greatest living personality, the Supreme Soul, the imperishable Lord Himself, who has entered the three worlds and is maintaining them.
Yes.
Because of
Next.
transcendental, beyond both the fallible and infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as the Supreme Person.
Next verse.
Text 19. So, whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting is the knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in full devotional service to me. O son of Bharata.
Anyone else? Tarun Prabhu, would you like to?
Sure. This is the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures, O sinless one, and it is disclosed now by me. Whoever understands this will become wise, and his endeavors will know perfection.
Wonderful. Yeah. So, Krishna, he's saying, Uttamah Purushastvanyah Paramatmetyudaharitah. Besides the conditioned souls and the liberated souls. So in verse 16, Krishna spoke about two types of souls. Those that are in the material world, in English we can say conditioned souls, and those that are in the spiritual realm, the liberated souls. But Krishna is saying, above and beyond them, there is another supreme soul, Paramatma. Paramatma. Here the word Paramatma comes. Paramatmetyudahrita. So there is the Param Atma. And then in the next verse, Krishna says, I am that Paramatma. Yasmat ksharamati toham aksharado apichottamah atosmi loke vedecha prathitah purushottamah. So I am that Paramatma, or I am that Purushottama. So this chapter 15 of Bhagavad Gita is called Purushottam Yoga. And Krishna is saying, I am that Paramatma, or I am that Purushottam. Purushottam is another word, the supreme person. Purush Uttama, the supreme among all persons. So, yes, this was a small digression. Now, coming back to our session here. So, who is that Paramatma or God? Krishna says, I am that Paramatma. And there's nothing boastful about Krishna making such a statement. If a saint is asked, can you tell us more about Paramatma or God? The saints will point toward God. Who is God? But Bhagavad Gita is a special scripture where the questioner or the devotee, Arjun, is asking questions to God himself. So God is talking about himself. And there's nothing boastful in that. Simple, right? If a saint is asked, who is God? The saint will point toward God. But if the God is himself being asked questions about who is God and what is the nature of God, God will talk about himself. There's nothing boastful in that. 1 second. So, okay, my brother was asking me something. Okay, so, yes, Krishna claims that he is God. Now, how else is the connection between Atma and Paramatma? So the difference between Atma, the similarity and difference between Atma and Paramatma is something like a drop versus an ocean. So qualitatively, we are like God, but quantitatively, we are very different from God. We are very tiny, but God is infinite. And the comparison is, the analogy given is drop versus an ocean. So we are like a drop from the ocean, but Krishna, God, is like ocean, much bigger than an ocean also. The ocean is still limited. Yes, for us, the ocean is very vast, but yeah, it is limited in one sense. But Krishna is not limited in any sense. So, but still, just to give an analogy, a rough comparison, this analogy is made, that we are like a drop from the ocean, but Krishna is like the entire ocean. So now qualitatively, the drop and the entire ocean is almost the same, right? Whatever salt percentage you may see in the ocean, you may see in that drop also. Suppose uh, the scientific studies say that the ocean consists of this particular ocean, Pacific Ocean, for example, or Atlantic Ocean, consists of um, it is 40% salty, or whatever the measurement scale is, 40% salty. And if we take out a drop from that ocean, what will we see in that drop? In that drop also we will see 40% salty, or whatever the measurement scale is. So qualitatively, that drop is like that ocean. But quantitatively, that drop is so tiny, but the ocean is so vast. So similarly, we, the Atmas, we are like God qualitatively. We are God-like. We are tiny God-like beings. But quantitatively, we are infinitesimal. We are very tiny, but God is infinite. Some people, they don't understand this concept properly, and they end up making claims like, I am God, you're God, everyone is God. This is not the understanding given by scriptures. Scriptures inform us we are godly. Yes, no doubt. We are godly. We are tiny, God-like beings, but we are not God. God is our origin. How can we take the position of our origin? That thought itself is, yeah, just so ungrateful. Wanting to become God or taking the position of God, calling I am God, you're God, everyone is God. So, and there are gurus also who teach some misleading ideas like this. There was one guru who came to the Western world, and he was preaching, so-called preaching, and he told his audiences once, many teachers come to show you how to worship God, but I have come here to show you not how to worship God. I have come to tell you that you are God. Now many people, they like hearing such things. Oh, I am God. But can it be practically true? We are so tiny beings, struggling so much. How can we be the origin of everything? It's simply absurd. But yes, we are godly. We are tiny, godlike beings, but we are not God. We are the Atma, or the Anu Atma. Anu means small, tiny. But God is the Param Atma, the Supreme Atma. So that's the difference between Atma and Paramatma. So yeah, Paramatma, or God, that's the answer to all these three fundamental questions we brought up. What is the center in the spiritual world? The answer to that is Param Atma, or God. In our previous session, we saw this example of an orchestra. In an orchestra, everyone is playing music in a beautiful fashion, right? There's no discord or disharmony. Everyone is harmoniously playing some symphony. So, who makes that possible? Because there's a central figure, a conductor. Have you seen some in some musical band? There is a conductor who makes some movements like this, who keeps everyone in coordination. So, even in the spiritual world, there is one force keeping everyone in harmony together. And what is that force? Who is that personality? That is God. Who is the conductor in the spiritual world, like the conductor in this orchestra? That is God, Param Atma, or Krishna. Krishna being there, everything is in harmony, everything is in place. Everyone lives in perfect harmony and perfect love for each other as well. And Krishna is the ultimate object of everyone's love. Krishna is the ultimate sink of everyone's love. Sink as in SINK. In mathematics, we talk about source and sink, right? Sink as in a recipient. So Krishna is the ultimate recipient of everyone's love. And Krishna also has infinite love for everyone. The Atma has infinite love for Paramatma, and Paramatma has infinite love for the Atma. So there's a bond of infinite love for each other. And there's love for each other as well. there's love not just between the Atma and Paramatma, but there's love between two Atmas as well. Hmm? And yeah, where has this tendency to serve come from? It has come from our original spiritual position of being lovers of Paramatma, or being servants of Paramatma. Hmm? Now, in this material world, the word servant has a slightly negative connotation with it. It means somebody who is being suppressed, somebody who doesn't have much freedom. Uh, but in the spiritual realm, yeah, we are servants of God, and we derive unlimited joy by serving God, by being servants of God. And we are going to answer in the next few slides how God is not a selfish master like we see masters in this world. God also shares unlimited enjoyment with all those who are connected with Him. And then, why do Atmas even exist? Fundamentally, this question, why do we exist at all? We exist to give joy to Paramatma, to give happiness to Paramatma. Now, we'll dive a little deeper into this topic. Suppose, okay, suppose you were a very rich person. Is everyone able to see the slides? I hope I'm sharing it. Yeah. Suppose you were a very rich person with unlimited resources and no constraints also. And no monetary constraints, no constraints in terms of resources, and no moral constraints also. Whatever you do, there's nobody to question you. In such a situation, what do you think you will do? Just, you may guess. You may just consider this hypothetical situation. You were a very rich person. Suppose you are a very rich person with unlimited resources, no constraints, no time constraints, no moral constraints also. What would you do? There's nobody to question you, nobody to watch you. You have full freedom. What will you do with your time, with all the time you have in your hand? There's no death imposing any restriction on you. There are no studies, no college to go to, no company to work for. What would you do with your unlimited time, unlimited resources?
Just relax.
Sorry?
Just
Just relax. Yes. We can see this gentleman doing that in the picture. What else?
roaming.
Travel.
Travel. Okay. What else? It's okay. You can give.
One,
Yeah.
there are no restrictions, no limits. So like anything we do at one point, we would be okay. I'm done with that.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. One more clause I'll add. There's no boredom also.
Okay.
Boredom is a sort of constraint, no? So I said there are no constraints. So there's no boredom also. Yeah. It's okay. Yeah. Whatever answers you give. And it's okay not to have a perfect answer also to this, because that's how we are clueless about the nature of God. Whether our answers are perfect or imperfect doesn't matter. Now we are going to see this uh, this exercise of just pondering over what I would do with unlimited time, unlimited resources, and no constraints. In some way, it's going to help us understand the nature of Paramatma, the nature of God. So God also has no constraints. The time factor doesn't act on God. In fact, time is created by God. Krishna claims in the Bhagavad Gita, 11th chapter, time I am. In one of the verses, it comes, I think it's verse after 30th verse, between 30 and 40, 11th chapter. Krishna says at one place, time I am. So, means basically, time comes from Krishna. It's not that Krishna is subordinate to time. Time is subordinate to God. So, yeah, with God, God has no restraints, no constraints, unlimited resources. then as you answered, you would relax, you would enjoy, you would go here, go there. So similarly, God is the ultimate enjoyer of everything. In fact, everything exists to give joy to God. God is the central enjoyer of everything, the central figure of everything, the center of everything. Now, before we jump to any conclusions, now, until here, it may sound like, oh, so is God, somebody may start getting questions at this point. Is God a selfish master who has just created everything and everyone for his exploitation? Is he an exploitative, selfish master like this? I don't want such a God, because we are used to seeing selfish people around, right? We are used to seeing selfish masters who mistreat their servants, or who mistreat their subordinates, or who just do shoshan or complete exploitation of their subordinates. So we may, at this point, we may start thinking, oh, is God also like that? Let's see. Actually, God is a very sweet enjoyer of everything. God is not a selfish, exploitative master or enjoyer. Yes, we exist just to give pleasure to God, but God shares unlimited joy with us also. In serving God, we also derive unlimited joy. In fact, at certain places in the scriptures, it is pointed out that in serving God, in loving God, when we are in the spiritual world, we enjoy even more than God. How sweet that is, isn't it? The devotees, they enjoy more than God in serving God, in loving God. Therefore, 500 years ago, God, Krishna, came in the form of a devotee to experience that joy of being a devotee. So yeah, these are very sweet dynamics that exist on the spiritual plane. So now, yeah, we'll answer some questions related to God. And then, of course, many questions that may have come up in your mind, we will discuss them as well. These are some questions that are anticipated while we go through these topics. So we have covered them. But there are some additional questions that may come up in your mind. We will discuss those as well. Now, here comes one question. Okay, Paramatma, we exist to serve Paramatma, to give joy to Paramatma. But does Paramatma need anything from us? Without us, will Paramatma be incomplete? The answer is no. The Paramatma, God, doesn't need us as such. It's not that without us, God will stop to exist. God is not dependent on us. Rather, we are dependent on God. So Paramatma does not need anything from us. Then why do we exist at all? If Paramatma anyways doesn't need us, yeah, then why bother to make us exist? This question may come up. So the answer to this is, we can analyze with a simple analogy. Why do couples give birth to a child? Yeah, now let's ask somebody here. Let's hear from you. Why do you think parents give birth to a child? Do you think they give birth to a child so that the child will... Yeah, now the analogies don't always perfectly apply. This is a comparison of this material world. So analogies always have some of the other imperfection. But still, analogies can be used to help us explain a topic better. So, yeah, now in the material world, of course, parents die, they become old. So, however, consider hypothetically, if parents, they did not become old, if they simply they lived their life in their youthful bodies throughout their life, and suddenly at one point they die without becoming diseased or old. So do you think parents will stop giving birth to children? Do you think parents give birth to children on just so that children may support them in their old age? Or is there another deeper reason parents give birth to a child? What do you think? Anyone? You may even guess.
Generational progress.
Okay, generational progress. Okay, so they give birth so that the species doesn't become extinct. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, one way to say it. Yes.
Okay. Now,
I think
here's the thing.
some existence of both the couples, like some common thing about both the people.
Okay, we will exist in future through our children, through our
Yes.
line, through our lineage, huh? Okay. Well, yeah, these reasons may also be there. Not that these are all false reasons. But is there another deeper reason why they give birth to a child? While giving birth to children, do parents think that, oh, we are doing this just to perpetuate our species? नहीं तो species extinct हो जाएगी. Huh? Hey, let's produce children. Hmm? Do you think animals produce children with this thought? Do animals even think so much? Hey, if we don't produce children, our species will become extinct. Hmm? So is there a deeper reason why male, female come together to give birth to a child? A simpler and a deeper reason.
It's God.
Sorry?
It's God, like natural. We cannot distinguish it. There is no reason.
No reason? Okay. There is a reason, but a much simpler reason: to expand joy, to expand happiness. That activity of producing a child, also through that, parents, they want to share joy. They want to have a child to exchange love with, to give love to that child, and to, yeah, expand joy for everyone. In the process of exchanging love with that child, the parents hope to themselves become more joyful and also make that child joyful. So, the simplest answer is to expand joy. Not all parents may be thinking, oh, let's do something to perpetuate our species. Otherwise, extinct ho jayenge nahi to. Not everyone is thinking like that. So, simply to expand joy. And sometimes bearing a child is not an easy thing. There are so many expenses involved, but still, just to experience that joy, most people do it. Even though they may not be that well to do, may not have much money, still they do it. Why? Because there is some joy in that. Now, again, this is an analogy of the material world. Not everything from this analogy fits into the truth of the spiritual world. But the main point of this analogy was, we exist. We are like children to Paramatma, and we exist to give joy to Paramatma. And is it selfish on part of parents to give birth to a child? Are they giving birth to that child just to exploit that child? What do you think? No, rather, parents serve their children so much, right? So similarly, Paramatma also does so much for us, serves us like a parent, much more than parents serve their children in this world. Paramatma is serving us, looking after us, taking care of us. Even though right now we are living in forgetfulness of God, still God is providing us so much. God is providing us the sunshine, rain, fresh air to breathe. This body which heals itself. Do you think doctors heal the body? Honest doctors, they have this slogan: we treat, God heals. We can only give some treatment, but ultimately the body has its self-healing mechanisms. Whenever there's a cut in the body, even most often without going to a doctor, that cut gets healed on its own. Sometimes we may have to go to a doctor, but how much can a doctor do? The doctor simply may give some medicine, do some treatment, but ultimate healing mechanism is created by God. The body has its healing mechanisms. So God is doing so much for us, even from the background. So now, here's one question. Is there anything wrong with expanding joy? We are considering all possible questions that may come up in the context of our relationship with Paramatma and our existence for the sake of giving joy to Paramatma. So yes, one question that may come up is there anything wrong with expanding joy? So, what do you think? When parents give birth to a child just to expand joy for themselves as well as for the child, do you think there's anything wrong with that? Or is it perfectly okay? Or in what case could it go wrong?
Any mistake done by the child.
Okay.
The parents
We are talking about this process of giving birth to a child to expand joy. In what case would it be wrong to do so? Morally wrong to do so? When the goal is just to exploit that child, then it is morally wrong. When, for the sake of expanding my joy, if I'm putting somebody else into suffering, then that is a wrong way of expanding my joy. So similarly, if parents are giving birth to a child just for their own selfish enjoyment, but in the process the child is suffering so much, then yeah, that's a morally wrong way of expanding joy. To expand my joy at the cost of others, that's a morally wrong way of expanding joy. Now, is Paramatma's way of expanding his joy by having Atmas, is it morally wrong? Is it wrong in the sense of, is Paramatma just exploiting us? And not giving us any joy at all? No, actually, in serving Paramatma, we derive unlimited joy. So when we exist to give joy to Paramatma, there's nothing wrong or selfish on part of Paramatma to have us. Now I'm intentionally not using the word create because this exists on an eternal platform. There's no clear comparison here. We are talking about parents giving birth to a children, but on the eternal platform of the connection between Atma and Paramatma, there's no time factor where some birth happened at any point of time. So therefore, I'm specifically avoiding using the word create, but yet the analogy is coming from this realm of matter where creation happens. But yet, even though we are eternal, we are subordinate to Paramatma, like children. We are like children to Paramatma. And Paramatma has created us. Technically, the word created is wrong, but we exist in connection with Paramatma just to give joy to Paramatma. And there's nothing wrong on part of Paramatma to have us for his enjoyment because we too enjoy in this relationship. Now, coming to the next very important point here. Does Paramatma force us to love him or serve him? What do you think?
No.
No. No. Okay. Yes. Yeah, that's the answer is no. If Paramatma had forced us to love him or serve him, right now we would continue to be with Paramatma. Maybe Paramatma would have kept a gunpoint on our head saying, oh, hey, you're supposed to love me. Okay. And like robots, we would be with Paramatma. But no, Paramatma has given all living entities a free will. Free will, okay, to either choose to love Paramatma or not to choose, to choose not to love Paramatma. So free will is an essential ingredient of our love for Paramatma. So, because without free will, there's no real love possible. Real love cannot be forced. So, in our relationship with Paramatma, there is free will. Paramatma has given us free will. Paramatma doesn't make us force. Paramatma doesn't force us to love him or serve him. He has given us free will. And the best use of our free will is to turn toward Paramatma and love him and serve him. Now, here's the answer to why we don't experience real happiness in this material world. So, the purpose of our existence is to give joy to Paramatma, to give happiness to God. And in doing so, we derive unlimited happiness. But somehow, because we are disconnected from God in this material world, we are in a foreign place right now. This material world is a foreign place for the Atma. We are disconnected from God here. If we look around, most living entities are living in forgetfulness of God. And there are a few handful living entities, just a small group of living entities trying to connect with God, sincerely trying to connect with God. There are living entities who believe in God, but yeah, they are not really interested in connecting with God and giving pleasure to God. But very few living entities really want to connect with God, love God, give joy to God. So the real happiness of all Atmas is giving joy to God. But because we lost that happiness, we are searching for that same oceanic happiness in this material world. But that search goes in vain. Why? Because it's something like if we lose a key, say I lose an object in a dark room, and but then I'm searching for that object in another room, and somebody comes and asks me, hey, where did you lose your object? Then if I answer, I lost it in that dark room, then the person asks me, but why are you searching it in this room? And if my answer is, because that room is dark, there's no light there. Here there is light. So I'm searching here. Do you think, what do you think? That person will laugh at me, right? Yeah, if you lost your object in that dark room, you should search for it there. But we are also doing something similar. We lost the key to our happiness in the spiritual realm. Because the key to real oceanic happiness is in loving God, serving God. But we lost that key in the spiritual realm. We have come to a foreign place, the material realm, where we are living in forgetfulness of Paramatma and not serving God. Mostly we serve our selfish desires, but sometimes we may serve God a little bit. So, we have lost that key to real happiness in the spiritual realm, but we are still hoping to get that same happiness in the material realm. But that search for happiness is like searching for a lost object in a room where it doesn't exist. If we lose a key in sand somewhere, but we are looking for it in on some road or somewhere else, we are not going to find it then. We have to find it where we lost it. So similarly, the key to perfect happiness, which we left in the spiritual world, in the spiritual realm, we are looking for that same key in this material world, but we are unable to find it. So, but just because this material world is more closely accessible, we try to somehow squeeze out happiness from matter. But that search for happiness in this material realm doesn't render much happiness. So, yes. Now, one more question that may come up. Does Paramatma expect us to serve him? The answer is no. Paramatma has given us free will. But yes, for our own good, Paramatma wants us to come back to him and serve him. And yes, Paramatma does miss us a little. It's not that without us, Paramatma becomes incomplete, but yet, like a father a loving father may miss his son who has gone far away and who has become lost. So similarly, Paramatma misses us and wants us to come back. Paramatma will never force us to come back, but Paramatma hopes that we should turn toward him and come back. to him, and live in eternal joy with him. And in that, we will experience unlimited joy. Now, yeah, another point is that Paramatma is a very kind master, and not a selfish, exploitative master or a father. Paramatma also loves to serve his devotees. Any example you can think of? God serving his devotee. Any example from the scriptures you could think of?
Yeah, in Mahabharata Kurukshetra.
Yes. Who is answering? Hari Krishna Prabhu, right? Yeah. Where do we see that in Kurukshetra?
In Kurukshetra, he is become a character of Arjuna.
Yeah, wonderful. Same example I also had on mind. Krishna, can you imagine? He's taking the position of a chariot driver just for his devotee, Arjun. Now, a driver's position is not considered like a very high class position. Would any master in this world someday, say some big industrialist who has many cars, many companies, factories and all, very rich, would he come to his car and say to his driver, hey, today you sit behind, I'll drive you? He will not do that. Huh? But Krishna is such a loving master. He is driving for his own devotee. And the position of a chariot driver it's a humble position actually. In the heat of the battle, when a warrior has no time to speak words, take a left, take a right, what do the warriors do? With their foot, they kick on the shoulder of the chariot driver. So kicking on the left shoulder means take a left. Kicking on the right shoulder means take a right. So in the heat of the battle, that's how a chariot driver uh, does to a, so that's what a charioteer fighter does to a chariot driver. And of course, the chariot driver knows that this is what is driving about. This is what driving is about. But Krishna was willing to take that position for his devotee Arjun. Of course, Arjun wasn't kicking Krishna. Absolutely not. But Krishna still took that position, that humble position for his devotee. What a loving master he is. So he is not an exploitative master in any way. So, yeah, and then we can see another definition of service is expanding joy through relationships. When you invite people home, don't you have to serve them? Don't you have to run around and do a lot of things? Suppose you invite guests to your place. Suppose you invite some friends to your place. What do you think? Would you just invite them and not do anything for them? Or will you do something? If yes, what will you do for them? What all kind of arrangements will you make for them? Anybody would like to answer?
So Prashant, food.
Yeah, we'll prepare prasad, we'll prepare food for them. Anything else?
In the like Vedic scripture, so when we are praying a god, so first there is a procedure that I forget the name of the procedure. First we invite him to the home and give the water to wash hands, or we clean the hands and give them good clothes, then perform some puja, then uh, like bhog is given as prasad.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Then
Yes.
Arti, like this is the procedure is written in our Vedas.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So when we invite somebody, a guest or a friend to our home, we do serve them. We have to, in fact, make so many arrangements to serve them. Now, does this make us miserable, or rather does it make us happy doing all these things? What do you think? Makes us happy. Yeah. And we do it because it makes us happy, right? If calling guests or calling friends at home was making us miserable all the time, would we at all do it? No, we wouldn't do it. So, another definition of service we can see is that we trying to experience joy through relationships. And we can see in this example of inviting guests home. So similarly, in serving Paramatma, there's ultimate joy for us. In fact, whatever tendency of serving others we see in this world, even in this world, we see that by serving others, we derive joy. And where does that tendency come from? Where does this principle come from that serving others produces joy for us? It comes from the spiritual realm, because the way we are created, the way we exist in the first place, is to give joy, to serve Paramatma, to serve God. And in that, we derive unlimited enjoyment. So even though we have come to a realm of forgetfulness of God, even in this realm of matter, when we serve somebody, we derive joy in that act. Because that act of serving others is somewhat, it has some semblance to serving God. Therefore, it produces joy for the Atma. Voluntary service, not forced service. Forced service does not produce real joy, either for the person serving or for the person being served. But voluntary service produces joy for both the servant as well as the one who is being served. So, yes, if somebody, a guest, forcefully comes to my place and then I have to serve him, it may not produce that much joy. But if it is voluntary, if I am inviting somebody, please come home, I want to serve you, and then I serve that person, I will derive joy in that process, and even that person will derive so much joy. So yes, another definition of service is to experience joy through relationships. Now, okay, I think it has been a long session. There is more to this session for today, but I think we'll have to continue in the next session. It has already been a long session, more than 1.5 hours. So we'll continue in the next session, and we'll continue from where we left off. So in the next session, what we are going to see is, okay, we serve Paramatma and we derive joy in serving Paramatma, but is Paramatma attractive at all? To be able to serve somebody, we should also be attracted to them, right? If we are not attracted to somebody, if we feel like being away from that person, will we be able to serve that person? Absolutely not. So this also means Paramatma must be so attractive that all Atmas derive so much joy by serving Paramatma. In the next class, we will continue to understand how attractive Paramatma is. And because Paramatma is supremely attractive, Paramatma's name is Krishna. Krishna means he who is all attractive. So just like iron filings are attracted to a piece of a magnet, similarly, all living entities are naturally attracted to Krishna, to God. And in serving Krishna, living entities derive ultimate joy, unlimited joy. So next class, we will see how Krishna is so attractive, how all attractive he is. We will see examples of how even we get attracted to people in this world, right? So similarly, how much more would be our attraction toward God in the purified state? Right now, we are not feeling attracted to God because we are living in a contaminated state. But in a purified state, we feel supremely attracted to God. God is just so attractive. Okay, we will pause here for today. We will continue in the next class. Hare Krishna. Now, we'll go around, ask everyone for their reflections, and we will also have some Q&A. First, should we do reflections from everyone, or should we have Q&A first?
Reflections?
Okay, yeah, let's go around, have some reflections from everyone. Would you like to start, Tarun Prabhu?
Yes. So, First of all, it was like how do we actually view the materialistic world and the spiritual world? It is all a reflection, and how you perceive. So it's not how it looks, but how you perceive things is the bigger picture in your life. So, yeah, and thinking that the expansion and everything which God does has a purpose in what we are trying to achieve as a spiritual being, and there's a purpose for even the expansion of the universe like being more beings coming into the existence, and we should be for our existence we should continue to serve the spiritual purpose, which is to continue our service. Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah. So, yeah, service is something intrinsic to every Atma. Yeah, even in this foreign place, the material realm, we are serving somebody or the other. So, in the spiritual realm, the sole purpose of our existence is to serve Paramatma, to give joy to Paramatma. And in that, we derive unlimited joy. Yeah, thank you, Tarun Prabhu, for reminding us of this. Anyone else? Reflection means what is your take home message from today's session? Anything that stuck with you. By verbalizing it, it goes deeper. Okay, would Utsav Prabhu like to go next?
Yes, one thing I learned today was that if you love someone, if you love someone forcefully, you cannot serve them. So, like, if the love is real and pure, suppose if you love Krishna, who is all attractive, and because he is so all attractive, you feel like serving him. Every service it won't be forceful, it will be like effortless.
Yeah, it will be joyful, effortless. Yeah, beautifully explained, Utsav Prabhu. Thank you. Any other points you wanted to make, Utsav Prabhu?
No, that's it.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Ranjit Prabhu, do you want to go next?
Sure, Prabhu. Probably, I'll probably go next, Prabhu.
Okay, sure. Yeah, please take your time. Lokesh Prabhu, do you want to?
Yeah, Prabhuji. So today's reflection is like God is like a loving father to us, and we all are separated souls, and we try
Sorry,
to
we
get
are all
back. We are
separate.
like separated beings trying to find our way in this world,
Yeah.
trying to, yeah, manifest things, know the real truth.
Yeah, true. Yeah, we are separated from God right now.
Correct. So, yeah, we need to serve God, know the purpose of our existence, and why do we make kids and stuff. Like you said, like it is a form of love, why the generational progress happens. It is not, uh, I don't know how to say it, but I guess I have it like clustered in my mind.
Okay. Yeah, wonderfully put, Prabhu. I really loved the way you put how there's no other purpose to our existence than serving God. Hmm. And in serving God, we derive unlimited joy in return.
Correct.
We don't expect it in return, but still we get it. That's the
Yeah.
nature of sweet divine love. By serving God, we are not expecting to derive joy out of it. The nature of sincere devotees is that even if while serving God, I'm going to become miserable in the process of giving joy to Krishna, in the process of serving Krishna, I will continue to serve Krishna. That's
Yeah.
the thought, that's the mentality of. those who are very spiritually advanced. Hmm. Okay. Any other points you were trying to make, Lokesh Prabhu?
No problem. Not now.
Thank you. Ranjit Prabhu, you want to go next?
Sure, Prabhu, yes, yeah. So takeaway points for me today was, Atma and Paramatma, how we are linked, and how the relationship between the different Atmas, how we are like siblings, how the relationship between Atma and Paramatma is that of parent, similarly, all the other Atmas, we are like siblings. And then, what the nature of Atma, what is the nature of Atma? It is to serve, that is the, takeaway. One of the, analogies that I liked was how, the Paramatma, how Krishna comes as a chariot driver, and he, gives, answers not boastfully, but like a, fact, because he's talking about, himself. And the different verses that we saw from, Bhagavad Gita, chapter, 15, I think verses 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, I think. Those verses. How it is like every Atma's intrinsic nature to serve, and how it is more, enjoyable if it is loving and, more, voluntary manner than if it is, done forcefully. So those are some of the takeaways for me.
Wow, you covered many points. Thank you, Prabhu.
Sure, Prabhu.
Thank you for that. Yes. Now in the temple hall, Surya Prabhu, do you want to share your reflection? Maybe you may have to come a little closer so that everyone can hear.
Can you hear me, Prabhu?
Yeah, much better. Yes.
Yeah.
Hare
So, I think providing service for the devotees of the God, so getting the joy from them and providing happiness to the people who are the devotees and providing service for the society, that will who are the devotees and who worship Lord Krishna, it will give the happiness and make the people happy, and it will directly serve God, I think. So that kind of happiness will attract towards God, and God will show the same happiness toward the back to us in that same form. So
Yeah.
that law of attraction, it will create some bond and relationship with God.
Yeah. So yes, serving other children of God is also something that pleases God. However, there are two modes of doing that. Some people do it in an atheistic way also. They completely keep God out of picture, forgetting God. They are into philanthropic activities, but yeah, it's done in forgetfulness of God. Hmm. So then it doesn't have much spiritual value. It is a sattvic activity, but not a spiritual activity. It is punya karma, but not akarma. Hmm. Whereas serving God directly, and then even when we are serving other living entities around, keeping God in the center, keeping God always in picture, that service is much more spiritually beneficial for everyone involved, for those who are serving as well as those who are being served. So, say for example, we serve poor people by giving them clothes, food, and all. We can do it in an ordinary way also, keeping God completely out of picture. In that case, we may just give them some food, some clothes. But then that won't help those poor people long term. Yeah, they'll continue to experience those same sufferings again and again until some other philanthropist comes and serves them. However, if while giving them food, clothes, and all, we also make them Krishna conscious or God conscious. Instead of just giving them food, if we give them prasad, instead of just giving them clothes, if we give them clothes that remind them of Krishna, say clothes with something spiritual like the Mahamantra written, or a picture of Jagannath or Krishna on those clothes, that brings in God into picture. That will help them think of God more and more. And that service is spiritually also valuable. That service helps them also go closer to God, helps us also go closer to God. Yeah.
Okay.
Wonderfully put.
Thank
Any other points you had?
Yeah. So the main center is a God. So everyone is towards the mode of attraction. That is what the same point. That is my result. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Okay. Rajat Prabhu, do you want to go next?
Yeah. For me, the reflections were like what is Atma and the difference for Atma, Paramatma, and the relationship between them, and the relationship between different Atmas, like from the picture that we saw. Then, like, what is the dharma of Atma? It's like to serve the Paramatma and the joy that we get from that. So, that was like the take home message for me.
Yeah. In fact, that was the essence of today's session. Yeah. Our connection with the Param Atma, Paramatma, or Krishna. Okay. Thank you for nicely summarizing it. Amar Prabhu, do you want to go next?
In today's session,
By the way, just sorry, one quick point. After our reflections are done, we will engage in the best activity, trying to connect with Paramatma. And what is that? Chanting. We will do some chanting. So please stay. Okay, yeah. Amar Prabhu.
my takeaway was like understanding. I understood that how God is created, like how God exists. He's the supreme of all. So there is no existence. He's like by default there, and we are. And the second takeaway, like why we are here, first of all, and what is the uh, existence, like why are we existing here, and the meaning of existence, like when two couples produce a child. So the meaning of joy, and which if we align that joy with what God is, like if we put the same joy to what the God will give us the same joy back on us, will bless on us. So the relation between
Jai Shri Shri Radha Gopi Vallabh ki Jai. Shri Gaur Nitai ki Jai. Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maiya ki Jai.
so the understanding of joy, and basically how the God is supreme of all. So that was my take.
Wonderful, yeah. Yeah, God is the Krishna is the why behind all whys, or the cause of all causes. Yes, and in giving joy to God, to Krishna, there's ultimate joy for us. Yeah. And now, Hari Krishna Prabhu, do you want to?
So my takeaway was like I was having a uh, uncertainty why we have sent to materialistic world, right? So that was clarified. I think I need to have more details about that because I
Yes.
understand the high level,
Yeah.
but I need more
It's
detail about it.
Yes, next session is about that.
Okay.
So
So
this
that's
session will naturally flow into the next session.
yeah, that
Give
was
an
wonderful.
answer to why we came to this material world.
And like a parents and child relationship, and where parents cannot expect anything from the child. The similar way, Paramatma will not have any expectation from Anvatma, but he has given all the whatever is required to enjoy the materialistic world. But at the same time, we are the one who is forgetting the God, not to having in the conscious with Him. Yeah, so that is correlated, and but I still have a lot of need a lot of clarity in that areas actually.
Yes, yes. Next two sessions will make this point clear.
Sure.
Why have we come to this world? Why are we living in forgetfulness of Paramatma, God, who is so attractive? And to forget God is also not an easy thing, because God is just so attractive. But yet we are living in forgetfulness of God. What has enabled this? We will talk about an energy called Maya or illusion, which ultimately comes from God, and there is a purpose why it exists.
Mhm.
We will discuss all that. Yeah.
And one more thing we discussed about was a kutumbakam.
Yes.
So where everyone is considered as a siblings in this materialistic world, but things are happening in different way. So okay, and that's it from my side, bro. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. We will chant a few mantras and say around 25 mantras maybe, and then yeah, I'll be here. We may have further discussions. If you have any additional questions, we will continue. But after chanting is done, you may feel free to disperse and move on with the day. So, first we will chant the Panchatattva mantra, and then we will chant Hare Krishna mantra in unison. So, what we'll do is, those who are in the temple, they can chant in unison. We will also chant with you, but we will stay muted. All of us who are online, we will stay muted, because everyone unmuting, and because there's a lag on Zoom, chanting together becomes a little difficult if everyone is unmuted. So yeah, everyone who is online, all of us, we can stay muted, and those who are in the temple can chant in unison. We'll chant maybe around 25 mantras. We'll chant roughly 1/4 of a round. And yeah, then we'll continue. Okay, first Panchatattva mantra. Please repeat after me. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya,
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya,
Prabhu Nityananda,
Prabhu Nityananda,
Shri Advaita Gadadhar,
Shri Advaita Gadadhar,
Shri Vasadi,
Shri Vasadi,
Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Now together, I'll go on mute. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Okay, thank you everyone for joining us. If I'm available for some more time, if you have any questions, comments, we can continue. Else, you may feel free to drop off.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I have a question, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu, please. Yeah.
So, if we see Arjun was one of the devotees of Lord Krishna, right? And like he had so many duties in his own life. How did he like inculcate love for Krishna and serve him? Like, even for us, if we ask, we have so many duties other than that, like do something for our parents, our family, or something like that. How do we inculcate Krishna's love in those duties in our day-to-day life?
Yeah, that's a beautiful question, Prabhu. So yeah, becoming Krishna conscious doesn't mean we give up all our other duties. We continue doing them, and but with this goal in mind that our ultimate connection is with Krishna. This material world that we are living in, we are living in a temporary body right now. So along with the body do come some duties related to the body, and we do them nicely. It's not that we neglect them, but gradually we try to intensify our desire that I want to love Krishna. Krishna is the only goal of life, and everything else is subordinate to that. And yeah, so while we are doing our other duties, whatever spare time we have, we try to give it to Krishna. Just like somebody who is addicted to something, say somebody addicted to a cell phone, how is such a person's life? Anytime he gets some free time, a few brief moments, what will he do? His hands will go into his pocket and he'll take
Yeah,
this.
remove the phone.
Yeah. So similarly, we, believe it or not, we do have a lot of free time. Even though we may be busy with this, with that. But somehow our free time goes into unnecessary activities. Like, is it really required to watch a movie or watch this, watch that? Is it required to go to parties? How wonderful it would be if we can give all of that time to Krishna, isn't it? Hmm? So, yes, while we pursue our duties, and now somebody may be really attached to even watching movies. It's okay, one can still continue, but sincerely desire to rise above such habits soon. But still, if it's difficult to stop certain habits right away, it's okay. Krishna is not putting a gunpoint on our head and telling us, stop it right now. But we can sincerely desire to uh, cut down all unnecessary activities in life, activities that are not essential in life. Eating is essential. Without eating, we cannot survive. So, yeah, even if we become good devotees of Krishna, we don't stop eating as such. We do eat, but we don't make eating the goal of our life. For some people, eating is the goal of life. Hmm? For
Yeah.
just to eat some delicious items, they may travel for 8 hours, 10 hours, go from one place to another just to taste one item. Hmm? So, yeah, we don't make eating the goal of our life. Neither do we make our job the goal of life. But we do our job nicely. We do our company job, or we do our studies in college nicely. Are you studying right now, or are you working, Utsav Prabhu?
No, I am working.
Working, okay, yeah. So, yeah, working examples may be more relevant for you. So, yeah, we do our job nicely, but we realize that working for this company is not the ultimate goal of life. So, or if somebody is doing some business, we realize that business is not the goal of our life. And similarly, being a family man is also not the goal of life. Somebody may be a husband, a father. Yeah, we do those duties nicely. We show our affection to our spouse, to our children. But we don't make these things the goal of life. In Sikhism, there's one interesting statement. घर में रहो लेकिन घर को अपने अंदर मत आने दो. Amazing, no? Does it?
Yeah.
What do you think it may mean?
I mean, you stay in the house, but don't, you shouldn't have the ego that the house, I don't know how to put it, but I get your point exactly that don't let it rise above you. It's not bigger than, it should not be the end goal.
Right, yeah. घर को अपने अंदर मत आने दो. Meaning, don't make this, don't let all your consciousness revolve just around this home.
Yeah.
Or duties related to the home, be it job or whatever. But our consciousness, our heart should be given to Krishna. So, and it is possible to live in this world while our heart is fixed on Krishna. One example is often given by saints, just like a paramour. Paramour means a lover outside marriage. So, suppose there's a woman who is married, has a husband, but she has another lover outside. It's not a very nice example, but still, this example conveys a point. So, how will she live in this world? She'll do her duties nicely. She'll serve her husband. She'll speak sweet words to her husband, so that her husband has no doubts that she has another lover also. She'll speak nicely to him, serve him nicely, serve him food on time whenever he comes home from office. We are talking about a housewife.
Yeah.
And she has another lover also. But whenever she gets a chance, she escapes. And wherever there's an opportunity, the husband is outside, and whenever there are no other duties, she'll just escape from there and go out and meet her lover, her paramour, basically. So similarly, we also want to become that attached to Krishna. Any free time we get, we want to give it to Krishna. Now, even if we don't get free time, because our mind makes excuses, no, I have no free time, then how do I connect with Krishna? Our mind can come up with excuses. Then we regulatedly give some time to Krishna. we set aside some time specifically for Krishna. Say we set aside a few minutes of the day, say 20 minutes also. In 20 minutes, we can do 2 rounds easily. 2 rounds of chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, 2 full rounds. Right now, what we chanted was just 25 mantras, which is 1/4 of a round. But in 20 minutes, we can do 2 rounds individually. Individual chanting is usually a little faster than group chanting in unison.
Right.
So we can do 2 rounds easily. So is it so difficult setting aside 20 minutes of the day? It is possible. And in fact, chanting and other devotional activities, they do not take away time from our life. They rather create time for us. And how does that happen? Say, we spend a lot of, in fact, it's difficult to calculate it, but it is a known fact that most of us, most human beings, we do waste a lot of our time worrying, just worrying. Worrying is one aspect of our life we give so much time to, but we don't realize how much time we are giving to it. We don't time ourselves, right? 7 to 8 p.m. is my worry time.
Yeah.
We don't time it, but still we give it time. We give so much of our time to worrying. But devotional activities take away our worries from our life. And or they replace them with higher level of worries. We may worry about higher truths then. Oh, these living entities are suffering in forgetfulness of Krishna. How can I share this wisdom of Krishna consciousness with them? This is a much better worry. This worry, in fact, helps us come closer to Krishna. So even if we spend some time on this worry is making us a spiritually refined person and helping us go closer to Krishna. So yeah, Krishna conscious practices, they do 2 things to our worry specifically. Our worry time, it will do 2 things too. It will either replace that worry with a spiritual worry, or it will take away the worry altogether. In fact, having spiritual worries is much better than having no worries at all. Spiritual anxiety is much better than having no anxiety. Because spiritual anxiety takes us closer to Krishna. So yeah, to summarize, yes, whatever free time we have, we give it to Krishna. And still, besides this also, we set aside some regulated time for Krishna. So yeah, and in the process, we will miraculously see that it's not taking away time from our life. It's rather creating more time for us by reducing our worry, by reducing our frivolous activities. Is it really required to gossip with people? Many times we get caught up in worldly gossip, which is totally not necessary. And gossip rather degrades our consciousness. Gossip, which involves criticism about others, or gossip which involves just talking about wasteful things. Oh, that girl is so beautiful. Oh, that girl is having an affair with this boy. Oh, this is what happened in this person's life. Unless really required, we do not engage in such type of talks. Yes, we do engage with functional talks like asking somebody, how are you? It's not that spiritualists stop asking such questions. We do engage in normal dealings also, asking somebody how they are doing, how their family is doing, how their job is doing. We ask these questions to express our affection to people. Even between two spiritual practitioners, these questions are exchanged. And these questions and answers to these questions are exchanged. But we avoid going into gossip mode. Say, for example, how's your job going? And then a person gives a nice brief answer. Yes, my job is going well, but there are some challenges with this, that. Okay, we keep it brief. And we are mindful about not going into gossip mode. Gossip mode would mean going into now job. The question of job has come. So just start talking about job and speak for 2 hours just about, oh, we are using this technology. We are exploring this, that. and it's not even relevant. It will not help either of the parties. So then that
Yeah.
becomes gossip. So we avoid gossip. Carefully and intelligently, we avoid gossip. In fact, after every conversation, we can, at least mentally, we can try to give a rating to our conversation with somebody. How gossipy was this conversation? Or a reverse rating on how meaningful was this conversation. So on a scale of
Yeah.
1 to 10, we can give a rating. Okay, how gossipy was this conversation? 8 on 10. Oh, that means it was too gossipy. Or
Right.
how meaningful was this conversation? 7 on 10. Oh, nice, very nice. 7 on 10 is good, but I could make it even more meaningful and Krishna
Right.
conscious. So yeah, like that we take charge of our lives and we make appropriate choices, cutting down unnecessary things like gossip, worry, and so on. And any free time we have, we give it to Krishna, understanding more about Krishna, chanting his names, associating with Krishna's devotees. And besides whatever free time we have, even we set aside some regulated time also. So because otherwise our mind can indefinitely go on making excuses. Oh, I anyways don't have any free time. Okay, so no time for Krishna. Well, even if
Yeah.
we don't have free time, even if somebody may be a very busy person, a busy businessman, CEO of some company, too busy with activities, still, if he is interested in his own spiritual welfare, he will set aside some time for Krishna, for his connection with God. If he is not doing it, in one sense, he is wasting his life then. Just working on his temporary lower self.
Yeah.
One saint expressed an irony that we see around in this world. We are not these bodies, we are the Atmas. But still, in this world, most people, what they do is, for the convenience of the body, they put the Atma through so much inconvenience. But those who are spiritualists, what they do, they may put their bodies through some inconvenience, like sitting in the temple. It may be a little inconvenient sometimes. Or actually, no, even in the temple, we are having a nice life, having such nice prasad. But still, sometimes in making spiritual progress, there is some bodily inconvenience involved or some mental inconvenience. When we are chanting, we need to control our mind. If our mind wanders away, we need to bring it back. So, yes, there is some bodily or mental inconvenience involved, but that is for the benefit of the Atma.
Yeah.
That's much better than putting the Atma through inconvenience for the sake of bodily convenience, which most people are doing in this world. So, one great saint expressed this irony. He was marveling at this irony in this world.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's all I can share. What do you
Yeah.
think?
Thank you, Prabhupada.
Any thoughts you have or any concerns about this point?
No, it's just that if you want to serve someone, you need to love that person first, or is it that you start serving first and then love increases? Like that's confusing.
Yeah. So, in our relationship with Krishna, yes, first we start serving Krishna, and then in the process we develop more love. We develop some love for him. Then, on the basis of that love, we serve him even more. Then we develop furthermore love for him. So it goes hand. And to even begin serving Krishna, we need to have some beginning faith.
Yeah.
That initial faith is called Adav Shraddha. Even to walk into the temple, somebody needs some faith.
Yeah.
You cannot have a full-fledged faith like those who are already practicing Krishna consciousness. Those who are fully into the practices and the knowledge of Krishna consciousness, they have much more faith. But even those who walk into the temple, they have some faith, some initial faith. That initial faith is called Adav Shraddha. That comes from some activity done in the past life, like somebody may have served a saint, And usually the beginning of that, even that Adav Shraddha comes by contact with some saint.
Yeah.
And that contact instills some seed of faith in us. And that seed may either fructify immediately or it may fructify within a lifetime or within 2 lifetimes. But contact with saints or with devotees of Krishna never goes in vain. A favorable contact where we don't offend them, where we don't criticize or insult them. If we have a pleasant contact with some devotee of Krishna, where we serve that devotee and appreciate or honor that devotee, that contact will never go in vain. It will do something to us. It will sow
Yeah.
the seed of Adav Shraddha, which may then fructify later, and then we take to Krishna consciousness, or it may fructify immediately and we start taking to Krishna consciousness immediately. So coming in contact with Prabhupada, the founder of ISKCON, so many people's lives were transformed. So many hippies' lives were transformed. So yes, that initial faith is what, at least we begin with that initial faith, Adav Shraddha. I'm sure everyone who is attending this course has plenty of Adav Shraddha, not just Adav Shraddha. I'm sure all of you are much ahead than just Adav Shraddha. Adav Shraddha, after Adav Shraddha comes the next stage, Sadhu Sangha, where we like to be with devotees of Krishna. Then after we start our Sadhu Sangha, the next stage is Bhajana Kriya, means we start some spiritual practice. We bring in spiritual practices into our lives. So if we start chanting, we come to this third stage, Bhajana Kriya. And then there are stages mentioned. Then that Shraddha, that beginning Shraddha becomes stronger.
Yeah.
And we start serving Krishna. And while serving Krishna, we develop some love for him. Then that, on the basis of that little love we may develop, we get more Shraddha. Then that more, we serve more and get more Shraddha. Then on the basis of that, we develop a little more love. Then that helps us serve Krishna and have more faith in Krishna further. So that way, we keep steadily marching toward Krishna. So for us, the best
Makes sense.
policy is setting aside some regulated time for Krishna, no matter how busy we may be. Let's set aside at least some time for Krishna, and then whatever free time we have, that also we give to Krishna. And that way, Krishna makes arrangements for us where we get more and more time for him, because all our unnecessary activities get cut down.
Makes sense. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay. Sorry, it was, I think, a very long answer.
No, it's okay.
Hope it did some justice to the wonderful question you brought up.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Utsav Prabhu. And thank you, Lokesh Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Did you also have any question or any point, Lokesh Prabhu?
No, Prabhuji.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.